Yes, we can see you.
Oh, I can see you, yes. And you'll be presenting structures of emotion, an online demonstration. And I believe they may want to volunteer for this demonstration. So if anyone feels like volunteering, stand up now. Put your hand up, please.
Let us first introduce the device, and then if anyone
we'll see what happens later.
So, Treyden, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can people hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Sweet. Awesome. So we're very honored to be here and speak about this work. We have been kind of researching with emotion recognition devices, and this is something that has been discussed in many different formats. But obviously, I think this is a more common application of AI in more software development in different applications. So we've been trying to put emotion recognition systems into different interactions with people and see and kind of bring the subjective experience out of how these systems work and bring it more to the forefront of people's minds, and usually highlighting an ethical framework of that. And by doing that, we usually we've created this kind of relationship of like a type of parallel processing. So Avital is wearing a emotion recognition device on her head, and kind of insinuating a speculative environment of like having hardware or devices that we would wear that would have these algorithms within them. And simultaneously in this performance, I also tried doing a process of emotion recognition of participants. So we've done this kind of performance in Zoom settings and in person on the street. And so we would, show this device to people and let it process, understand what their emotions are, and see this kind of feedback loop that happens between the individual and the device. And also kind of bring forward like what it is for an individual or a human, a non-machine learning program, to process an emotion. So just a little bit more background before we start. The emotion recognition device only is programmed to recognize 7 emotions based off of the positioning of different facial features, your eyebrows, the configuration of your lips, your eyes. So it has a limited palette of what emotions it can recognize. And so I think you'll see that as the performance goes on. So can we try to find a volunteer to look into the camera in the in-person presentation? We hope to kind of create an interactive environment with the in-person audience, but we'll have to see if the algorithm is able to recognize people from a bit of a distance with the camera. But we wanted to try to see if it would work. So is anybody able to volunteer or willing to volunteer?
You're going to volunteer?
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, if you're facing this way, so Avital, we have to see if this will work.
Let's give it a try.
So are you?
I need to zoom in.
Can you maybe come closer to the camera? Yeah, come forward. Mm-hmm.
To the back of the room.
Go to your left. Now I'm looking at you. Yeah, you'll have to go back.
Oh,
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you. Okay, although it's a bit blurry. Let's see if we can.
Seem happy.
You seem curious. You seem susceptible. You
Seem happy.
You seem curious. You seem inquisitive. You seem hesitant. You seem maybe
Seem
insecure.
happy.
You seem more
You
interested.
seem happy.
You seem you seem
You seem happy.
more jocular. You seem reassured. You seem
You
more
seem
confident.
sad.
Oh.
You seem enthusiastic. you seem
Seem fearful.
disappointed. Yeah, you seem like you're trying to pretend to be angry. You seem uh, happy. You
Seem
seem,
fearful.
you seem focused. You seem distracted. You seem,
Seem fearful.
you seem lighthearted. You seem easygoing.
Seem fearful.
You seem determined. You
Seem fearful.
seem theatrical. You seem insecure.
Seem fearful.
You don't seem fearful. You seem
You
reassured
seem
by that
happy.
recognition. You seem somewhat happy. You definitely don't seem sad.
You seem sad. You seem sad. You seem angry.
Actually see what's going on over there.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Robert, right? Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. Yeah,
Yeah,
so this is
I
our,
told you. Do you want to say anything to?
yeah, so this is our demonstration, and basically we were just playing with this AI algorithm, putting it as a wearable in order to speculate a future of, you know, some sort of a symbiosis between humans and algorithms, to the level in which maybe, like in this speculative future, we would use such algorithms to analyze emotions for us. So I don't know, as an artistic exploration, we were allowing ourselves to imagine what would be the use of emotion recognition algorithms, and would we end up arriving to a future in which we lose the capacity to analyze the emotions of others, and then would AI be able to do that job for us? Obviously, right now it's very premature, as you could see, like even by the range of emotion that it can recognize. But yeah, mostly allowing ourselves to imagine and speculate and think of a possible future in which this relationship between humans and AI are kind of like moving forward. Yeah, we're happy to have some questions if you have any.
thank you.
Thank you for the volunteer. Thank you, Robert, right?
Questions?
Thanks. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was wondering if you have any thoughts about the kind of ethical privacy aspects of these kind of systems, because I guess I've been to quite a few sort of demonstrations which attempt to do this sort of thing in one form or another. And I've never wanted to volunteer because I don't like the idea that I might want, you know, might be sort of stood in front of a room of people and it's sort of pointing out that I'm really anxious or something. And there's quite a lot of situations where you might sort of not want people to know what your emotions are and this kind of thing. So yeah, just wondering what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, definitely. Treyden, do you want to answer, or should I go?
Sure, we can both answer in various. I think the question has obviously a lot of different interpretations of like how we can think about it ethically, right? Because we kind of mentioned, you know, trying to keep something private. So if we were to think about an algorithm which maybe had some more biometric information that would maybe give it more ability to be more and more accurate, and maybe to like a place where it would be picking up on emotions that maybe you couldn't even pick up on yourself. And then, you know, obviously then it becomes an issue of data privacy and such. And I think a big part of our questioning is, or inquiry is, who's benefiting from these machines. And I think a lot of our inquiry is how, in the current state, how are they shaping how we conceptualize of emotion in different ways, and creating this kind of feedback loop of like how we see ourselves through how these algorithms see us. And so I think there's a lot of different ways we can kind of come about it ethically. I think right now, like one of the big main uses of emotion recognition systems is in, software and applications like Snapchat and things that different generations use, and how it kind of data mines different people's emotions, and it kind of targets people based off of how different content triggers different emotions in individuals. And we see this kind of in other applications like Twitter, but through more like language processing algorithms. So yeah, I think a big part of like what this performance is trying to kind of realize is, when kind of showing some complexity in like what it actually means to be a human processing emotions compared to the machine. Obviously, as you can see, like the machine wasn't obviously picking up on things accurately all the time. And I think, in human vision kind of experience, in trying to articulate like what emotions you're seeing. So I would suggest if you have any time to try to kind of do it maybe in your mind yourself, like in any person you're watching or you're looking at, a spouse or a significant other or just a friend. It gets a little bit confusing about like how nuanced emotion is or feeling is. So that's kind of where I would leave it. Avital, on anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to add that anything that is actually looking at our external appearance and making a judgment is biased and, intruding with our privacy in a sense. So even looking at each other and, making judgments just by the way we look or appear is a process that is already, problematic and biased. But also this is how we learn, right? That, of each other, and this is how we interact with one another. We look at one another, especially when it comes to emotional behavior. People look at one another and make a judgment. They have to understand like what is the other person is feeling. And then when we add machines into this relationship, it's a really important question, like how does those machines are looking at us, and what is the data that is used. Currently, there is an argument about emotion recognition as a whole. Scientists don't agree on what emotion is and how it is being expressed. So obviously these are questions that we are looking at, and we're working with other AI algorithms, and definitely the ideas of bias and privacy are very pressing when it comes to AI algorithms. But I also think that they reflect on our biases and our privacy issues with one another to begin with.
Thank you very much. Have you got any thoughts? I mean, I was reading an Ada Lovelace Institute policy briefing for the EU, because they're talking about bringing in an act that will actually ban AI systems that read emotions, because there isn't enough research yet, as you were saying, that can tell what people are actually thinking from the expression, the non-verbal communication on their face. Do you have any feelings about whether it should be banned or?
Yeah, first, I believe that the discussion is important, and asking ourselves whether or not we should use the technology is an important question. The technology exists and it is developing, and it's developing fast. And then asking ethical questions and moral questions are important and are part of the discussion. And the fact that we want to ban a technology just because it's not researched enough, I think it's it's important to do, especially when it comes to using it in law enforcement institutions. And face recognition, not just emotion recognition, face recognition as a whole is a technology that is being argued upon also here in the United States, obviously, and it is being banned from police use in many cities in the United States. And my personal take on it is that obviously we don't want the police using such premature technologies, And then, you know, we already know that when those technologies are being used for such goals, so the first people to suffer from it are people of minority groups and sensitive communities. So I do agree that these algorithms should not be used before we fully understand their capacity and their influence and their impact. In terms of our artistic exploration, I think there is room alongside the discussion around ethics and morality to imagine and to speculate, because the scientific development continues. So on one hand, we can say, okay, we don't want to use it because it's unethical or it's not moral yet. But on the other hand, there is a technology here and it's an interesting one. And we should ask ourselves not just whether or not to use it, but also how to use it. And maybe this is where artists can come in and speculate a future. So, and this is part of the goals of this artwork, to imagine a scenario in which people use it in some sort of a friendly way, not to, you know, incarcerate others, or just also thinking about other options like analyzing emotions when we are so removed from one another. For instance, I don't see anyone, like now I see you, but we are removed from one another in so many ways in this day and age. So the idea of analyzing emotion is becoming maybe something that we should think about as a practice that is becoming less practiced, maybe. And then maybe those algorithms can actually help.
Yeah, thank you very much. Another thought provoking.
Thank you for having us.
Now I think we have